Hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be reading the original post that I wrote for tonight because I'm suddenly sort of have like a mini emergency to take care of. But I do want to talk to you about what I was posting about earlier this morning. So I hope today, either at lunch or dinner or both, you were able to sort of follow that very basic portion control list that I made up. Um, and I am curious to see how you guys like how your experience with that was. So comment below. Um, I know that I think the biggest step in that helps me the most is starting my plate with greens because you naturally usually don't try and put everything on your plate. So if there isn't as much space, you aren't going to put as much other food on there. So even if the grains or the protein the only option you have is covered with sauce or isn't as healthy or isn't a whole grain, you at least will not be having as much of it. And then also, like I said, going back for seconds, that the healthier seconds options first is great. And like I said, eating slowly is always great for curbing your hunger so you don't want dessert and just so you eat less because you always need less than your brain thinks, because if you're not used to eating in correct proportions, your brain is seeing all this food and wants it all. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit about this thing called the diet cycle. Now, whether you've tried a real diet like Weight Watchers, or a meal plan, or whether you just occasionally, cut out sugar for a week, or cut out bread, or cut out pasta, or only eat salad, you'll be familiar with this. So what happens is you have this idea, and I'll make it personal for me. Let's say I had the idea once that I was not going to eat any fat, or as little fat as possible. Because I had read a book that said, it's not good for your skin, it's not as necessary as people think, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. So I was like, perfect, I'm not going to eat fat. So I cut it out. For about 10 days, usually your goal or your why you are deciding to cut these foods out is strong enough, and you succeed. And you're like, this is going great, I'm having some temptations, but I'm not listening to them. But then about by day 10 or by day 14, you're getting hungry, you're getting irritable, you're really thinking about these foods all the time. If you're with people eating them, it's even more difficult. And, around that time, you give in and you eat the food, but not only do you eat it, normally you eat it in huge proportions, because what you do is you've put your brain in this starvation mode and now it wants it all. So if you cut out bread, I also tried cutting out bread once, I ate an entire loaf. When I cut out fat, I ate a whole, literally an entire container of hummus, which, that might not seem like a bad food, but like it was still an unhealthy binge eating thing. And then you feel guilty, you feel depressed, you feel shitty about yourself, and you start over with something else in a few weeks or whatever. So the problem with these diet cycles and with normal diets is, yes, you're cutting calories, so you might lose weight. I know girls at my high school used to do this before proms. They'd only drink like cranberry juice. Of course, you're going to lose weight. Fewer calories than you're burning means you lose weight. That's the very most basic. But you're also cutting nutrients, which means it's not going to last. So when you're trying to find a healthy lifestyle, especially for eating, you need to find a way to get these nutrients in. And if you're wanting to lose weight, you need to cut calories without cutting nutrients. And that might seem difficult, but it's not. Basically, the more processed food you eat, the more work your cells have to do to pull the vitamins and minerals from these foods, and the harder you're going to work and the quicker you're going to become hungry. That's why if you have a bag of Doritos, you'll probably be hungry in an hour. But if you have 3 cups of spinach, which has much fewer calories, you'll stay full for a couple hours because there's so much fiber in it. And when you eat whole foods, your cells recognize these whole foods in their natural forms. They don't have to work as hard to pull the vitamins and minerals, and you'll stay full longer, and you're getting the nutrients with less calories. So another thing we talked about today was water. Water is the basic, most simple thing that your cells need. If they're full of water, then you're less likely to be hungry, you're going to be happier, your skin's going to be better, you'll sleep better. So what I like to do is I have a big water bottle, it's about 25 ounces, and I drink a full water bottle right when I wake up. And if you start doing this, at first it's going to seem like you're forcing yourself to drink water, but eventually when you wake up, you'll crave it. I try to drink water before every meal, but I just sort of drink it throughout the day. If you drink during meals, you're more likely to feel bloated, so I'd recommend drinking before instead of during or after. Once you feel thirsty, you've waited too long. You shouldn't be like gulping down water until you feel sick, but you should be constantly drinking even when you're not thirsty. And if you drink something like coffee or alcohol, you obviously should be drinking twice as much to offset the dehydrating effects of those drinks. So basically, to sum it up, whole foods are always better than processed foods. Even a whole avocado or a whole coconut is better than the oil form because it's been processed and your cells have to work harder to recognize them. In terms of sweet tooth, I really recommend, like I said, going for fruit, but fruit does have a lot of sugar. So while cutting foods out entirely is not always a great thing, if you can get in a habit of not going for that food every day, you will stop craving it. So sometimes it is better to jump in to cut out habits, which is what I've done with sweets, and that's worked really well for me. Or if you stop viewing it as this negative, terrible thing, you won't treat yourself to it because you won't feel guilty. So I would say try to not get it every day. Try and stick to those basic guidelines I said with portion control. That makes a big difference for me. If you have specific questions about the kinds of food that your school offers or that you usually buy at a store, I'd be happy to answer them. It isn't expensive to eat healthy. Rice, beans, veggies, if you buy them in bulk, they're not expensive. Especially compared with taxes on like McDonald's food. Like all that stuff that can be a lot more expensive, I promise. So let me know if you have any specific questions. I'm sorry this was sort of rushed. Drink your water, try and stick to those portion stuff. Tomorrow we're going to talk about support and accountability, and I think you guys will like that all. Yeah, I'm loving this group so far. I hope you guys are learning some stuff. Comment below with your experiences today and with any questions you have that I can answer in the group or privately.